Seven Trumpets Prepper. Guys, in this video today, I wanted to take a minute while I was down at the gun range and was working today on some stuff. I wanted to take a minute and make this video because it's been on my mind for a long span of time. I mean, I've said that in a lot of videos I've made over the years that, stuff's been on my mind and make a video about it. But like this one has been on my mind for a considerable amount of time. People email me often and ask about my thoughts on biblical marriage or my thoughts on, people, different faiths being together, all sorts of just different questions. I really don't want to put my opinion out there. What I prefer to do is just share with you from Scripture what thus saith the Word. Now, I ain't going to say a few things along the way, but I'll say this up front, that when you marry someone, okay, now we're not going to talk much about divorce or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about marriage in this video and being equally or unequally yoked with somebody. When you become one flesh with someone, you literally become one with that person. I mean, the more you look at it in Scripture, I mean, two people are literally joining their lives together. They are becoming one, essentially in my eyes, one being, okay? Because like, I'll give you an example that Messiah said, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Now, I don't want people to misconstrue that, but like what I mean is when you see them, when they see Messiah, he was there representing the Father. When you see a man's wife, she's representative of her husband, just like the husband's representative of the wife. So I mean, when two people come together, they are one, essentially one at that point. And when you think on that depth and on that level, it's kind of very scary fast, because if you're unequally yoked with someone unrighteous, you can go from having a good walk with the Father to just completely going downhill fast. And a prime example of that is King Solomon, wisest man in the world, got unequally yoked with women of the nations and turned from worshiping the Most High Yah to doing all sorts of awful things in the land of Israel. So, there we see an example of his people, one of the most anointed among his people, still came to fall from grace, per se, in that department. So, I mean, this is really, really, really important that people get it right when you become one with somebody. And the last thing I'm going to say before we go straight to Scripture is the reason I haven't made a lot of content on the channel is because I've been picking up the pieces of my life for the past year from having no longer have a marriage that was 13 years. And I'm not saying that because I need sympathy or want anybody to think anything other than I'm just giving you an example that, like, you don't know what tomorrow brings. So when you start your life with someone, they need to be both people 100% on the same page. You don't need to have to constantly be reaching down, pulling them up, trying to pull them up to the same level of your walk with the Most High. They need to be reaching to the Most High, pulling themselves up constant, okay? Because I'm telling you that this unequally yoked thing, as we go through Scripture, it's going to make sense to me. All right? So, I got three. This is the big three, okay? When you start selecting a mate, okay, if you go through these three, just at least these three with a careful conscience and prayerful heart, you're not probably going to fall off into the sinking sand. You're going to be standing on a solid foundation. All right? So what are those? And we're going to read this from Scripture, so enough of loop. Number one, don't give way to lust. They must be loved for the heart. You can ask anybody I know, they'll tell you. If Luke says he loves you, he loves you. And if he hates you, he seriously hates you. Now, I know people may not agree with that or approve of that, but I mean, I'm very straight with people where I stand with people. When I'm done with you, I'm done with you. I'm all in, I'm all in. There's just no middle ground. You need somebody that it is all in and you love them because of their heart. Because I'm going to tell you, there's beautiful people out here. Like, let's just go with some of these supermodels. But if you actually met them in their spirit, they are rotten to the core on their inside. Now, you may find a not so beautiful woman or man, or find that attractive, and yet they have a pure heart. Okay, well, only the pure in heart are going to see the Most High Yah. The meek will inherit the earth. So you kind of follow what I'm saying here? So probably might want to be careful if you're just looking for somebody for looks. You're going to mess up big. Okay, And right here in Matthew, okay, I've marked this off today because I want the word. I want to read the word to you guys because it's not about what I've got to say. All right, so Matthew 23. Get over here to it. Forgive me a second because I marked a bunch of stuff off today. All right, in Matthew 23 and verse 27, okay, he says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly indeed look well, but inside are filled with dead men's bones and all uncleanliness." So now, here's the deal. A lot of people, especially religious leaders, if anybody's coming to awake to the Torah, coming awake to the Scripture, coming awake that everything that was written from the beginning still stands today, and you're stuck in churchianity, you're going to see that the leaders seem to profess these wonderful righteous people, but are the most wicked there is. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you I'm a sinner, and people look at me like I'm a good man. I'm telling you, I am a sinner. I'm unworthy of the kingdom, and I pray every day about it. I got faults, people. I got issues. We all got issues, and you know, the only way to find the right path with that is through Messiah and praying and trying to strive to keep 10 commandments every day, because that's the fruit of righteousness, okay? So, and I ain't trying to preach to you. It's stuff that's on my mind. But right there goes the same principle that Messiah was saying to the Pharisees. The same principle, if you apply that to husband looking for a husband or wife, is if they look good on the outside, that's fine. Well, great, good for them. But if they actually look good inside the heart, oh my goodness, grab hold of that, cleave to that, and never let go for the life of you, okay? Now, number 2, okay? So don't give in to lust. It's got to be for the love of the heart. Now, if they're a beautiful person, hey, great for you. Great for both of you. That's outstanding. But the heart, all right, the heart has got to count, because the heart is a deceitful, wicked thing, okay? All right, so anyway, moving next is number 2. They can't cleave to the past, all right? Exes, mom and dad. Mom and dad can't run the show, okay? They got to go. All right, now there's all about honoring your father and mother's one thing, but whenever you get married, it's you and them. That's it, okay? And I really got mad respect for my mother. I was having a conversation about that, and man, she just laid it out there, and I was like, wow. And it's powerful, because when you see elders and people are older and wiser than you, like, they totally get it, because I'm telling you, when you become one flesh, okay, that mentality's got to be together, one mind, one accord. So it can't be no more influence, in-laws, siblings, jobs, anything, friends. I mean, it's always got to be what your spouse is about. Because I'm going to tell you, I have 2 friends that are dear to me. They're like a brother and sister, because I don't have no brothers and sisters. And I have many in faith, though. I love all of you out there. The day after they got married, they have never, ever departed each other's side, if at all possible, from that day moving forward. And that's a beautiful thing. Because I'm going to tell you, this world, you get in a car that you owe for, that you drive to a job that you get paid very little, to go back to a house that you constantly work to pay for that house, and you're away from your loved ones to pay for these things, to work for these things, so that you come home for a very short space of time and spend time with these few people and these things that you still owe for, which keeps the separation away from you. So you live a simple life and stay with your spouse. Your marriage is probably going to last, because you're not out here worrying about everything in the world that tries to tear you apart, okay? So they can't cleave to the past, okay? So that means that when you become one flesh, it's you and them for the long haul, okay? Now, ain't nothing wrong with going to see your in-laws or spend time with your family. Absolutely need to spend time with family. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. I might drop dead during this video. All right? So we've got to make the most out of every day. So that means spending time with your family, spend time with your friends, but your spouse has got to be priority 1. And let me tell you something. This is going to offend people. Your children, they're not priority 1. Okay? If you read in Scripture, your spouse is number 1. And Scripture is pretty hardcore that back in the day, if you had a wicked child, you would take them to the elders into the public square and to stone them if they're wicked. Now, folks, I ain't making this up. You just read it for yourself. But I mean, like, it is very crystal clear in Scripture that under the Most High Yah and worship of Him, that your spouse is the next priority. And then your children. And then the things outside that. So, I mean, like, our world's got it twisted up nowadays that, just like with a divorce, child support and alimony and all these things that go into stuff, that it's just like we living in Babylon. It's crazy once you have an eye-opening experience of that, because your spouse is actually your priority one under the Most High Yah. All right, so in Matthew, do we hear this echo? Just a question. And Matthew 19:5 says, and said, okay, so this is Messiah speaking here. It said, for this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and join unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh, so that they are no longer two, but one flesh. Now Messiah just said that these two entities just became one entity, okay? The Son of the Most High Yah just said that, okay? And so that they're no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what Elohim has joined together, let no man separate. Now, it's also a chapter about divorce. And now a lot of people get tore up about divorce. You know, I look at, it says except for the cause of fornication, or what you could define that term as adultery. You know, I see a lot of brothers and sisters out there that says they will love one another and stick with them to the very end unless they turn their back on the Most High Yah. And I agree with that 100%. I think spiritual adultery is just as bad as physical form when you turn your back on the Most High Yah. And people, when they get cut off, they get cut off. And that applies to me too. Because I'll tell you what, I think about Ezra and Nehemiah, and when the sons of Abraham, the seed of Abraham, come together there and were rebuilding Israel and Jerusalem. And they need to put away all these wives of the nations. You know, all this wickedness, all this mess need to be put away. And I'm telling you folks, when you start looking on the deep, deep, deep root level, I'm telling you, you cannot be unequally yoked with unrighteous people. All right, now, number 3. All right, so let's review. Number 1, don't give way to lust. Got to love people for the heart. They got to have a pure heart. Okay, meek and inherit the earth. 2, they can't cleave to the past. No ex-lovers, all this junk. They can't look back on all that stuff. They can't look back on the parents all the time. They need to be focused on you, and you on them, and above that, the Most High. Okay. Number 3, you can't be unequally yoked. Now, has anybody ever read 2 Corinthians? All right. Now, some people's not a fan of Paul's writings, and look, I don't rarely ever go into his writings ever on this channel just because of a lot of controversy people say. But look, this is just good sound wisdom. Okay. Is right here says, do not become unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership hath righteousness and lawlessness? And what fellowship has light with darkness? And what agreement has Mashiach with Belial? Or what part does a believer with an unbeliever? And what union has the Mishkan, the temple of Elohim, with idols? For you are a Mishkan, a temple of the living Elohim, as Yahweh said, I shall dwell in them and walk among them, and I shall be their Elohim, they shall be my people. Therefore come out from among them and be separate, says Yahweh, and do not touch what is unclean. I shall receive you, and I shall be a father to you, and you shall be sons and daughters of me, says Yahweh El Shaddai, the Almighty Provider. Those that don't know what El Shaddai means. So, I mean, there you go. Don't be unequal. I mean, the last thing you want to do is be a servant of the Most High Yah, and then go and take someone that's not Torah observant. I mean, not even just in that light, that they may not be fully knowledgeable of everything in Scripture, but they have the heart. They're striving to follow the Father. Now, I'm not knocking people. You can't say, oh, this person's got to be perfect for him with them. No. If that's the case, all of us would be disqualified. But they've got to have a heart to serve the Father. You can't go out here and get some drug user that's atheist and marry them and expect to have an awesome walk with the Father, or even have a walk with the Father after that. I mean, you probably wrecked the ship, my man, on the rocks, and the lighthouse was way the heck over there. Okay, so I mean, you just can't do that stuff. It's insanity. I don't care how good. Pleasure is only good for a season. Guys, I'm telling you folks, I am telling you, okay, as somebody previously in a marriage, sex cannot be everything, okay? You can't be married to somebody just for the pleasure of the flesh, because if you are, that's not going to last. You can't be with somebody just for material things, because that's not going to last. You can't be with somebody for status, because that's not going to last. You can't be with somebody just because that they support you and take you up and set you, to the standards of life you want to be. That's not going to last, because you are taxing the life out of that human being. And you've got to be with them first, because that your mindset and their mindset is together. They love the Father with everything in them, and they love you. And if you have that, everything else will boom, 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 fall in place. Okay? So, that's the big 3. All right, now, if we backstep, though, one other thing that you hear it said at tons of weddings, actually. It's almost, you can go to a wedding, and Father, please forgive me, I don't want to say distasteful, because I kind of had that thought in my mind, please forgive me that the word's never distasteful, but it's just how weddings seem bland. a lot of them, because it seems to me like, when people get married that they love each other, because you'll see the bride and groom coming to be together with each other and they're crying. There's an overwhelming joy there of two souls about to become one being, and it is a beautiful thing. It is actually the most beautiful thing you can ever see on the face of the earth, outside of the Most High returning and making this world great again. But when you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 13, okay, and right here, if you read from verse 4 on down, all right, it says love is patient. And I'm just going to break these down. You can't have somebody that ain't patient with you. I have a terrible time with patience at times, and I lose my patience with people. I always ask forgiveness, but it's something we all need to work on, patience. It's kind. Being kind to one another. It's hard to do in this cold world anymore, but we got to go the extra mile way to be kind to one another. Love does not envy. I'm not envious of anyone. Hey, whatever the portion of the Most High has gave to me, praise be unto you. Thank you for that. And if you're wealthy, hey, that's outstanding, but do righteousness with it. Love does not boast. I don't like boastful people anyway, and I know none of us really do. It's not puffed up. Does not behave indecently. Okay? I don't think I have to break that one down. Does not seek its own. When you're yoked with somebody, you need to be seeking their best. Because if you're in that mentality, and they're in that mentality, you are going to have the most awesome life together. It's going to be insane how awesome a life you're going to have together. All right, moving on. It is not provoked, reckons not the evil. All right, so don't need to be going provoking your spouse to anger all the time. That's going to end in parting ways. It's going to end in a divorce. It's going to end in a separation. It's going to end in things that ends real badly. Okay, does not rejoice over the unrighteousness. Now, if you're going to have a partner that's equally yoked with you, that loves the Father above all things, they're not going to enjoy unrighteousness. They're going to cleave to that which is right. And see, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to be with some drug-using atheist. And I love everybody. I'm just saying that you can't mix this stuff up. It's not going to end well, okay? But rejoices in the truth. And that's another thing, that people receive lies because they love not the truth. That's the problem with churchianity out there today. If they really loved the truth, the church houses would be full, because people would know that's where the light is. And people don't go to church because the light is diminishing from there, because the people's leading the church, they don't even try to strive for the truth anymore. All right? It covers all, believes all, expects all, endures all. Love never fails. All right? And that's the thing. In the end, if you have a love, it's with the Father first. If you love the Most High more than anything else, and then you love them second, you'll have the very best of what's left. And that's exactly what I want in life as well. I want somebody that loves the Father more than me. Because if they do, then what's left, my portion, will be very wonderful. All right, just a couple notes. I think I will read that one out of Proverbs real quick. I'm sorry if this video went really long. Proverbs 21:9, okay? It says, it's better to dwell in the corner of a roof than in a house shared with a contentious woman. Now, here's the deal, guys. I want to explain something to you. The book of Jasher, people say that. Chapter 21, read this. Abraham goes to visit Ishmael. And it was one of the most profound things in Jasher to me. Actually, it stuck with me, that and the reckoning of the new moon, because you had the battle of Jericho that lasted 7 days. And people's like, well, you can't do war on Sabbath. So how does that work out? Well, it proves Father's Creator's calendar, which if you want to check a link about that in the video description below, because New Moon Day started, and then there was 6 work days, and then the Sabbath followed. It was the beginning of the new month, how that pulled off, because they could march around on New Moon Day. Well, anyway, the other thing that stuck with me from the book of Jasher is Abraham went to visit Ishmael, and when he did, the woman that come out to meet him was rude to Abraham, didn't offer him nothing, was smiting Ishmael's kids, cursing Ishmael, and Ishmael wasn't there, he was off hunting. Well, Abraham told her a message, and I encourage you to read this whole chapter. I'm just summarizing this one. And he said, tell Ishmael the tent stake to take it out and remove it and replace it. Pretty much what he broke down to her. And she told Ishmael, because she was oblivious. This was code language, what Abraham was saying to her. And it's brilliant. And then afterwards, long time passed, he comes back. Ishmael had replaced that woman in his tent with a good woman. And she was kind to his children and was good to Ishmael and went out and honored Abraham and offered him, I think food and drink, and took care of, gave fodder to his camel. Just night and day, night and day. And Abraham said, the tent stake that is placed in the tent is good, keep it, or something to that effect. And like I said, read it. I don't want to misquote scripture. It was beautiful. And what I'm getting at, folks, with that is the tent stake that holds down the home, especially for us men. It needs to be a good stake, and it needs to be the firm cornerstone in the home, because I'm going to tell you, the cornerstone of our salvation is Messiah's sacrifice and the keeping of the commandments. The cornerstone of our home is a good woman. If you have that, a man can do anything. Anything is possible. I believe that with all my heart. And the same thing would apply to a woman. I don't want to just be one-sided conversation. For a woman, if you have a good man that's rooted in the Most High Yah and he serves him, and he is a hard worker and loves you, oh my goodness, there is nothing you two can't do together as long as you cleave to that and are good to him. So guys, I hope that's a help to you. In the future, I'll talk about a video about biblical marriage, as far as people's asked about marriage ceremonies and things like that. There's a lot of things that people's asked on this channel, but I just wanted to cover this today for certain, because I'm telling you, this is not just something to cast off the side. When you're going to look into join your life to someone else, it is a life-changing moment. It's a life and death thing. It really is, because I'm telling you, your life is affected by being with that other person in profound ways that no one will ever be able to affect that. Family, friends, mother, father, co-workers, anybody. Your spouse is like your biggest influence in life, and if you are unequally yoked, it may possibly cost you your salvation in the end. That's really seriously, when you boil it down in the end, where it stands. And I'll just say this, for every day I tell my ZZ, everybody that is a servant of the Most High does that as a reminder to themselves. I don't do it for show. Sometimes when I'm working, I even tuck them in my pockets. They're still in my belt. They're my reminder, just like 10 Commandments around my neck. But, it's not like the Pharisees. They made them long and broad for people to look at. I said that to say this, when you're with somebody and you love them and, they love the Father, you'll know it, because they're not ashamed of you. You're not ashamed of them. It'll be a beautiful walk. It'll be a holy walk. And in the years of trouble that's to come, and especially when the seven trumpets start, so many other things, you will have the most important prep possible. You will have salvation in Messiah by faith and keeping the Father's commandments, and belief in his sacrifice. And not only that, but you will have a helpmate that will stand by your side as the closing pages of history comes, and that is a beautiful thing, because we all need not be alone, and we also need to not forsake ourselves, fellowship with one another, because, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in the last generation. We are living in Babylon. And that's about all I can say on this matter. So guys, I hope that video has helped you. I'm sorry I haven't made content in a long time. I'm coming back out of the shadows, and I'm going to start making sure to get content on the channel as often as possible. I hope this helped you. I hope if it just reaches one person, then that's outstanding. I'm going to start doing everything I can again to help win people for the kingdom. I love y'all with all my heart. I hope you have a most precious, blessed day in Yahushua.